What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put that on also to get notified of all the latest content on this channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. So right about now it's prediction time for Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. And as we know, it's a historic fight, historic occasion. Due to the biggest, well, what most are calling the biggest rivalry in British boxing history. Certainly in recent memory, I don't think there's been anything bigger than Eubank Ben or Ben Eubank. Their rivalry was epic, and you can remember, even as a young kid, people picking sides and who they liked, who they didn't like, and it was quite intense, and everybody was pretty much talking about it back in those days, man. So look at the two sons now. It's passed on to them. Conor Benn, the younger man at 26 years old, he's yet to go 12 rounds. He's yet to go championship distance. He hasn't fought any of the top guys at welterweight as yet. He's probably not quite ready for the top guys at welterweight yet. So he hasn't yet fought those sort of top names or top noteworthy names as they're moving him at a measured pace over at Matchroom. Ben he's had things pretty much all his own way. There's been just the one sort of gut check, which was against the Frenchman Cedric Payno, who they had a multi-knockdown thriller back in the days in which Ben had to come off the floor several times, as did Payno, and Ben come out victorious from that. That was a gut check for him, and that was pretty much all the adversity that he's been through in his career so far. So, and as far as his notable wins, really and truly, the names you've got to look at is Formella, who he beat on points. Chris Algieri, who was at the time, to be fair, he was kind of semi-retired, comes out thinking he can beat Ben. Ben put it on him. Ben stopped him. That's a good stoppage for Ben. And also Granados, who is a tough guy. Decided to try and come out there and box with Ben, and I don't think he lasted a round. So he's beaten a couple of guys who were sort of there or thereabouts, not the best of the best guys. And as with a lot of prospects nowadays, Ben's career has gone in a way that they kind of skip over the British and European level, get to sort of fringe world level, and then look for the titles. That's sort of the way his career's gone. So the non-traditional route. As far as Eubank Jr. goes, he's a guy that's older guy now, 33, fought at a much higher level, but fallen short at the highest levels, fallen short back even at British title level against Billy Joe Saunders. Those two had a good little rivalry, and fell short for the British title, but it was a very close fight. He did push Billy Joe Saunders hard. He had a strange style about in Eubank that fight, where he pretty much took the first 6 rounds off and then went after Saunders and really made Saunders gas, and came very close to winning that fight, really. But other than that, his other sort of notable fight, where it was in the WBSS World Boxing Super Series against George Groves for a world title there, and he fell short. He looked out of sorts. He looked out of his depth against George Groves, who just pretty much outboxed him. Beat him on a jab mostly. So he's fallen short of the top level. He has got some notable wins against the great Reynold Quinlan, of course, being a bit sarcastic there. Reynold Quinlan, he picked up this IBO belt, which it's not really worth much. Beat Arthur Abraham as well, who was a bit washed up, to be fair, at the time. James DeGale, who of course was, had seen far better days, but still a name on your resume. And of course, Avni Yildirim, also in the WBSS, I think in the first round of that tournament, beats Yildirim, takes him out completely, and that was in hostile territory. So credit to Eubank, and he's also got a good proven engine over 12 rounds. Eubank is a super fit fighter who, over 12 rounds, he's proven time and time again that he can do it. The weight is going to be an interesting factor in this fight, as we don't know how well Conor Benn is going to carry the extra weight. Will he be effective at the higher weight? Will he be as powerful as he looks? as a welterweight, packing on this extra muscle or whatever. And there's a question mark over Eubank. Will Chris Eubank Jr. be drained by the weight cut? That's a good little question there. Of the two, I would say Chris Eubank Jr. has got the proven chin. So when it comes down to holding a shot, taking a shot, Eubank Jr., I can't remember him ever being seriously hurt or put down or anything like that. Whereas obviously Conor Benn's been, put down by guys like Payno, and he's shown to be, to have some vulnerabilities at welterweight. So there is that question mark over, okay, if you've struggled at welterweight, if you've been hurt by welterweights, what's going to happen when a big middleweight, so that's super middleweight in Chris Eubank Jr. hits you? Can you handle Eubank Jr.'s power? That's a question mark there. And one thing about Eubank Jr. is that he thrives when guys come at him. When guys come at him and attack him, that's where he thrives. That's where he does his best work, as he sort of counters them with powerful shots and loves to have a shootout and a tear up. The thing Eubank Jr. struggles with is slick boxers. We saw this even when he beat Korobov. Korobov had to retire from that fight on an injury, but we saw that his slickness and his skills were troubling Eubank, and he was pretty much winning that fight. Same with George Groves. He struggled, and he was leaping into George Groves and not really knowing what to do. And I think that's, same with Billy Joe Saunders. I think slick boxers are kind of Chris Eubank Jr.'s kryptonite in a way. I don't think he deals well with them. But come forward, aggressive, pressure fighters, that's his bread and butter. That's what he deals with very, very well. And I think that's what Conor Benn is, really. He's a come forward, pressure fighter, throws lots of shots, likes to put it on you, does his best work on the front foot. That's where Conor Benn does his best work. And those sorts of opponents are, the sort that Chris Eubank Jr. thrives on fighting. That's where he does his best work. So I think ultimately Conor Benn in this fight will start fast. He'll put the pressure on Chris Eubank Jr. He'll set the tone. And I think this fight will be competitive in the early rounds because Conor Benn will be fresh. He'll be ready to go. But I think as the fight wears on, as it goes on, I think the occasion might get to Conor Benn. And I think Conor Benn may get tired, may get fatigued with this extra weight. And I think Chris Eubank Jr. is going to be the more composed man in this fight. And I think Eubank Jr. will weather the storm and take Conor Benn out later on in the fight, somewhere from the mid to late rounds, as I think Conor Benn may gas, he may just overthink things, he may be too aggressive, and I think Chris Eubank Jr. is just going to be a bit too composed for him. He's too used to the distance. He's got the better gas tank and probably the better chin, and he should just be a bit too big and too strong for Conor Benn. I think there is a chance, don't get me wrong, that if Eubank is drained at the weight, then yeah, it could be a Conor Benn victory all day long. But I'm just thinking that Chris Eubank Jr. will be composed, he weathers the early storm and gets to Conor Benn late, because I think Conor Benn has got the type of style that is going to suit Chris Eubank Jr. down to the ground. Come forward, aggressive guy, suits Eubank Jr. perfectly, and I think Ben will play right into Eubank's hands, and Eubank takes him out late. That's just my thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out.